there are certain factors that is expected from you as a clinician. Along with the clinician, you have to be a good leader, you have to be a communicator, a lifelong learner. Doing a graduation and post-graduation does not mean that you have learned everything. You have to be a lifelong learner, you have to be professional, critical thinker and researcher. These all categories should be imbibed within you as a clinician. Okay, that is Indian medical graduate. Now, ATCOM is attitude, ethics and communication. What comes under attitude is that it's how you perceive something. Okay, I'll give you a good example. Suppose a patient is diagnosed with a STD, sexually transmitted disease, and there are two doctors. Suppose Dr. A is has a very stringent attitude towards this patient. He is not welcoming towards this patient and he's speaking very rudely to this patient. This is not the right attitude to bear. It means you are passing certain judgment, right? And there is Dr. B who is welcoming to the patient, who discussed his case with the patient, and he also explained what are the consequences and how to prevent this to his partner. This is the right attitude towards dealing with a STD. Okay, this is just an example I'm telling you. So this ethics attitude concerns with what? With the perception. Okay. Okay, I discussed about the attitude. Not coming to ethics. What are the ethics? You will get some questions, like when this patient came in, you will get some questions such as, should I tell this patient what is happening with him, right? Then how can I work in his beneficence? Then how I may not harm somebody through this process, that is this patient, and what is his right as a patient. These are all cardinal pillars of ethics. What are the cardinal pillars of ethics? You have to think about autonomy, you have to think about beneficence, you have to think about non-maleficence and justice. What is autonomy? Autonomy is the patient's right to know. Okay? Patient's right to know and decide. What is a good example for this? Suppose a patient comes to you with fever, oral thrush, unexplained weight loss. Right? What are you suspecting? HIV. So, will you tell this patient, we will draw a blood sample for you and you will have to undergo a test? Is this the way to tell the patient? No, you should explain this patient that you are suspecting HIV in this patient and you want to draw a blood sample. You want to perform certain tests that will tell you that this is HIV or not, and based on that you will be able to provide this patient with the treatment. During this conversation, you will tell the patient the procedure, the effects, the consequences, and then you will tell the patient that with his consent you can go ahead. Okay, this is the conversation that should take place. So what is the patient's autonomy here? Patient is giving you the consent after understanding the procedure, after understanding its effects, consequences and the treatment involved, right? That is autonomy of the patient. Coming to beneficence. What is beneficence here? One example for you. Suppose a patient has been on the antibiotics and you have received certain specimen in the laboratory. Now, since we are talking about the laboratory, always know that when you receive a specimen in the laboratory, it is just not a specimen, it concerns to the person. So you have to think that every specimen is precious, right? So when you are taking this sample in the laboratory, you come to know that it is resistant to most common antibiotics. When you have the resistance pattern in front of you, what will you do? You will, instead of waiting on the report dispatch, you might just call up the clinician and tell them that whatever antibiotics has been running for this patient, you have to tailor this antibiotics to the sensitive ones, right? This will work in the beneficence of the patient. If the patient is in sepsis, this might be a life-changing point for him. Like, since the beginning of the treatment will be sooner. If turnaround time would be lessened. That's why this is a good example for beneficence. You understood what is beneficence? Okay. Now non-maleficence. What do we talk about non-maleficence? We do not have to cause any harm or injury to the patient. Suppose while working in the laboratory, you notice that there has been a mislabeling of the samples. Somebody else's sample got mislabeled with somebody else's name. Will you go ahead with this? You will not go ahead with this. It is convenient to go ahead, but you will not do that because this might harm the patient, because there could be different sensitivity pattern, there could be different diagnosis to the given patient. So you will request a resampling, right? That is non-maleficence to the patient. And what is justice? Can you give one good example of justice? Suppose during COVID, we were doing RT-PCR testing and the kits that were available, that were less. So who will be, this testing should be irrespective of the cadre, irrespective of VIP treatment. This should be equal to all the patients, because right to health is the right of all the patients, right? So these four are the cardinal pillars of ethics that you have to remember. I gave you 4 examples, you understood? What is the first ethical pillar? Autonomy of patient. Second, beneficence. Third, non-maleficence. And fourth is justice. Okay. Do I need to explain this in detail? You understood with the examples? What is autonomy? What is beneficence, maleficence? Communication example I gave you with the HIV example, you have to discuss with the patients. You just don't have to disclaim that we are taking the blood sample and you're gonna, irrespective of your autonomy, we are gonna process it. That's not how it works. You have to communicate with the patient so that they understand in their language, in the comprehensive language. That is communication, right? Now, what are the patient's rights here? What are the patient's rights? There should be no discrimination, irrespective of gender, caste, creed, anything. You should not discriminate any patient, okay? Patient has the right to confidentiality. Suppose a college going student undergoes HIV test and his father comes to the laboratory and asks for the report. Will you dispatch this report to the father? If this college student is more than 18 years, will you dispatch this report to the father? No, because it is his right to the confidentiality, okay? So, that is there. What is informed consent? I told you it should be in the language, comprehensive language in which the patient understands. Right from the procedure, the purpose for which you are performing the particular test, effects and consequences. All this should be told to the patient in the language he understands, okay? Right to choose the source of obtaining laboratory test. You cannot force this patient to perform this test in particular laboratory, okay? It is his right to choose. Then, suppose you are performing any biomedical research, we always take a consent form from these participants. If they are not willing to participate, we exclude them, okay? And right to be heard and seek redressal. What does it mean? If that patient, suppose this HIV patient of ours, he is not ready to perform the HIV testing, you should know what are his points. If he is scared of the consequences, you should reconfirm that this will help with the treatment, or you will perform certain other tests and explain the treatment with this patient, okay? These are the patient's rights. Now, apart from these rights, are there certain responsibilities that patient bears? It's a give and take relationship, right? So, patient has always to keep the appointments. He has to maintain the previous records, okay? He has to respect the laboratory staff, whoever is in contact with him. He has to preserve the laboratory reports and give true information about his tests and diagnosis if not documented to the doctor, to the clinicians, to the technicians. Okay, these are all patient's responsibilities. If he is not providing the true information and if he is not treating the laboratory staff or any healthcare worker, it is legally an offense. Okay. Then what are certain rights of the laboratory staff here? He has to be provided with the proper protective areas to work in. For example, a laboratory technician is running a sputum sample in the laboratory, which is from the suspected TB case. What should he be given? He should be working in the biosafety level cabinet. He should be wearing proper personal protective equipment, right? What is the most important personal protective equipment here? N95 mask for airborne precaution, right? So this is what he should be given with: good, comfortable working conditions and protective measures. Now, what are the responsibilities of laboratory staff? He has to maintain the quality of the test. Do not fabricate the test, respect the autonomy of the patient, respect the confidentiality of the patient, safeguard the dignity of the patient, and do not falsify any results. Okay, there should be no mixing of the samples should be appropriately labeled, the report should be judiciously presented on time, the turnaround time should be maintained. Okay, they should not delay in dispatching the already prepared report. All these are responsibilities of the laboratory staff. Okay, this is about ETCOM. Any questions? Coming to OSPI questions. These are certain examples of what could come into the exam. Okay, not exact questions will be provided to you. What is the question? Write down correct technique for collecting a throat swab from a patient. Assemble the required material and equipment. What equipment do you require? Swab stick. Okay. And swab stick किस में रखोगे? Will you require tongue depressor? You might require. Swab stick किस में रखोगे? Some sterile tube or test tube. Okay. What are the steps to perform? You have done this before. I think this was the question provided to you in last exam. Okay. Any two conditions that come to your mind in which you will take the throat swab? See how you have to perform the steps, how you have to write. This is the model answer to this question. Okay, do you see tongue depressor, flashlight, swab, gloves? Hey, put your phone down. Write down the proper technique for collecting a blood culture. How will you collect blood culture? Required equipments and media will be? Where will you inoculate this blood? How will you collect this blood? What are the steps to perform? Skin preparation कैसे करोगे? There was one class on blood sample collection. What are the two disinfectants you will use? You cannot name even one. What do you use generally to collect the blood sample? Okay, syringe, needle. With how will you prepare the skin? You will wear sterile gloves. Okay. How will you prepare the skin? Alcohol. Very good. And you can either use povidone iodine or you want to go out? Last warning. 10 cc of blood you have to collect. You have to write all the steps of preparation, skin preparation, and these are all the things that you require while taking a blood sample. Okay. Just imagine yourself taking a blood sample, then you will know. You can enlist the items you require. Two of you are reading it, that's why I'm waiting. And rest of you are looking at me. Why? Next question. Write down the correct method for instructing a sample from OPD patient. Urine sample you are collecting. What are the equipments you require? You tell me. You are collecting urine sample. Universal container. And? Who said catheter? Okay. What are the steps to perform the procedure? Anybody? You will ask the patient to clean the area and collect the midstream catch urine. The patient has to let go of the urine in the initial stage and then midstream urine he has to catch. Okay. Why are we cleaning the outer area? In case of both males and females. Why are we cleaning it? To avoid the contamination. Where are we collecting this urine sample? In a sterile universal container which is screw cap to avoid leaking. Okay, you have to properly label it. What is CAS concept? Presenting with the significant colony count. What is that colony count? 10 to the power 5. Okay, this is considered as bacteriuria. Okay, that is CAS concept. Next, how will you collect the sputum sample? Container is the same. What are the steps? How many samples do you require as per NTP? 2 samples. One spot sample, one early morning sample. How will you collect this sample? In the morning, after rinsing your mouth, after removing any dentures that are present, artificial, and induced sputum should be there. Saliva is not a quality sample. Okay, salivary contamination is not a quality sputum sample. You have to induce the sputum sample. Okay, these points, name, time, date of collection on the container and sent to laboratory remains the same and very crucial in all the samples you are collecting. Okay, this is also a very important point. Screw the lid firmly onto the container to avoid spillage is also a very important point. Okay. Coming to biomedical waste. Biomedical waste may, in this OSPI, you will be given all the things that you have to discard in the allocated color-coded bins. If you are given with the blood bag, where will you throw it? Blood bag. Any guesses? Blood bag? ब्लड बैग किससे बना होता है? कहाँ जाएगा? रेड में क्यों जाएगा? क्योंकि सारा प्लास्टिक रेड में जाता है. रेड का ट्रीटमेंट कैसे करते हैं? You autoclave it and then you recycle it. Why are we not throwing blood bag in red? To avoid any possible infection, we are throwing it in yellow waste. Okay, we want to destroy it. That's why it is the exception that you have to remember, that blood bags are discarded in yellow bag. Okay, where will you discard glass shards? Glass. What did you say? Orange? No. Where will you throw glass shards? Metallic implants कहाँ जाते हैं? Blue में जाता है. ठीक है. White is for what? Sharp. Urine bag. How many of you say urine bag goes in yellow? Okay. How many of you say red? Urine bag goes where? Red. And how many of you do not have any opinion? How many color coded bins are there for segregation? How many? Number? Four or five? What are five? Black is biomedical waste bin. Black goes to whatever you are collecting in the hospital in black bag goes where? Who is taking it? Okay, there are only four biomedical waste bins. Black is collected by municipality. Okay, common biomedical waste treatment facility is taking only 4 bags for the treatment. Okay, and ECG leads कहाँ फेंकोगे? अच्छा, यूरिन बैग कहाँ जाएगा बताया नहीं. रेड में जाएगा. ठीक है, प्लास्टिक है. एंड ECG लीड्स डालोगे ब्लू में. ओके, कमिंग टू इन्फेक्शन कंट्रोल. Hand hygiene technique. This you have to demonstrate. Do you know how to perform hand hygiene? Who wants to show? Show. From the beginning, I missed. Missed one step. No. If you're doing this, then why not this? Okay. Then that is last. What happened to thumb? And palm to palm 5 times. Back of the palm 5 times. Back of the palm 5 times. 5 times, 5 times. Whenever you're covering your thumb, before this, there is this. What is this? Interdigital spaces. So, how is it? Palm to palm, back of the palm, interdigital, like this, thumb, like this. You have to cover the entire area, not like this. You have to cover this area, okay, on both the sides. And then this. फिर वॉश करना है. ठीक है, वॉश करने के बाद हाथ कैसे रखोगे? ऐसे रखोगे. क्यों? How do surgeons hold their hands after washing? Do they keep it like this and walk? No. Why? Think. Why? Same goes with the hand rub, okay? Same technique. Did we miss any step? You have to take the hand rub. You have to perform palm to palm, then back of the palm, then interdigital, then like this, then with the thumb. Just take a look at the thumb, how it is. then nails, then your hands are clean. You want to hold it up like this. Okay. What are the 5 moments of hand hygiene? Before touching the patient and okay, understood? Before and after touching the patient, before any aseptic procedure, after the contact with body fluids, and after touching the patient's surrounding. Okay? सोशल हैंड हाइजीन कब करते हैं? After going to toilet, before eating food, before taking any medication. Okay? And when your hands are visibly dirty. If you have worked in the ICU, you have removed your gloves. Will you perform hand rub or will you perform hand hygiene? You were wearing gloves. You performed urine sample collection in the ICU patient. You took the sample from the catheter. Okay. Are we supposed to take sample from catheter or urobag? अगर कैथेटर लगा हुआ है और यूरोबैग अटैच्ड है पेशेंट का, तो यूरिन सैंपल कहाँ से लोगे? How many of you say यूरोबैग? कैथेटर से लेना है. कैथेटर में पोर्ट होता है जहां से यूरिन सैंपल कलेक्ट कर सकते हो. अगर पोर्ट नहीं है तो नीडल एंड सिरिंज से लेना है. ओके. आफ्टर परफॉर्मिंग दिस एक्ट, you remove the gloves. Will you perform hand rub or will you go and wash your hands with soap? You will perform hand wash. Okay. Whenever you are wearing gloves, there is a chance you were wearing powdered gloves. ठीक है? और there is a chance कि gloves काम करते वक्त breach हो गए. तो you were in contact with the body fluid. You have to perform hand wash. ठीक है? Read this case. 20-year-old male presented with urethral discharge along with fever for last 5 days. Provided with the slide of gram stain smear, expressed urethral discharge. Slide under the microscope looks like this. What is this? This is some organism which is intracellular. It is looking like what? Is it gram negative or gram positive? Gram negative, diplococci. Urethral discharge. What is your first guess? Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Very good. Then 2 points in favor of your identification. I just spelled out. What were the 2 points? And within the cell, intracellular. Okay. What any other test you would like to perform? Culture. Very good. And okay, very good. Then what is the drug of choice? Ceftriaxone. All your answers are right. Coming to this thing, your favorite question. What is this? Banana shaped gametocyte, falciparum. 2 points in your favor. अच्छा देख के बोल रहे हो क्या? Oh. What are the tests you will perform? Peripheral smear, वो तो देख लिया. Any other test पूछा है? Antigen detection करोगे? Rapid diagnosis, very good. And QBC, quantitative Buffy coat examination. Okay. ठीक है. What is this? Plasmodium vivax. Large gametocyte, schizons, trophozoites. Very vast picture. Similar test that you will perform for this. This though you should know. What is the vector for this condition? What? Okay, since you say filariasis, what are the 4 clinical symptoms that you can tell about? This is Wuchereria bancrofti. Any 4 symptoms that you have to show? Fever, lymphadenopathy. But more than lymphadenopathy, can you tell a very significant finding that tells you that this is filariasis? You might have seen the banners where they're showing the lower limb swelling. What do we call that? Elephantiasis. Okay. And hydrocele and chyluria. Okay. What is the vector? Culex mosquito. And provocative test. What drug do we use for this? Diethyl carbamazine. Okay. These are the answers. Coming to next. What do you see here? This is gram negative or gram positive? What is this? A bacteria or fungus? What can you see here? This is pseudohyphae. These are all budding yeast cells. Okay, so what is the causative organism? Candida. Okay, what is the question? Underwent bilateral lung transplant. So, person was on immunosuppressive therapy for some reason. Then, he was prone to all this. Gram stain of lung tissue is showing. This is from the biopsy. Pseudohyphae. Active infection is going on. These are all gram positive budding yeast cells. What are the tests done for further confirmation? You will culture this on which agar? Sabouraud's dextrose agar. And which test will you perform to see if it is Candida albicans or non-albicans? Germ tube test. Okay. The most common type we are suspecting here is Candida albicans. What is the drug you can give? Just study about why echinocandins. In this case particularly, why echinocandins. Okay. Then what do you see here? Again, this is a bacteria or fungus. What is her associative diagnosis? Hyphae दिख रहे हैं. Short angular branching, right? Septate. Very good. What is the clinical condition? This is pulmonary aspergillosis. Patient had acute leukemia and developed this symptoms of pneumonia. Lung biopsy showing this. Okay. So you are suspecting pulmonary aspergillosis. You will perform galactomannan assay. You will perform culture, and you will treat this patient with amphotericin. Okay, azoles cannot be given in all aspergillus. Some of them are intrinsically resistant to azoles. Okay. What is this? We recently studied this. What is this? Is this a mycosis? Is this a bacterial infection or fungal? Why? Because there is annular infection with central clearing, right? This is superficial involvement of the skin. What is this? Dermatophytosis. Okay. What are the 3 genera of fungus that can cause this infection? What is the genera which can cause infection in hair and skin? What is the genera which can cause infection in 3? Hair, skin and nail. Trichophyton. Skin and hair. Epidermophyton. Nail and skin. Okay. Microsporum. Hair and skin. Okay. Then what will you do in this patient? You will take the scraping for KOH, right? And then what is the layer affected here? Only superficial layers of the skin. Okay. The answers are given right beneath the question. 12-year-old child presented with fever and abdomen 7 days ago. Doctor prescribed Vidal test. What is the provisional diagnosis here? Can you see the titer? What is this? TH? Antibodies to which antigen? Flagellar. And O? Somatic antigen. What is the reading here? This is a positive Vidal test report. Okay, what is our provisional diagnosis? Enteric fever. Positive agent is, since TH is involved, Salmonella typhi. If AH was involved, then Salmonella paratyphi A. Okay. What are the other tests that you can perform? You can perform blood culture, stool culture, urine culture or bone marrow. Okay. Carrier state कैसे पता चलेगा? VI antigen. Antibodies to VI antigen you have to check. And one vaccine you have to name for this disease, Typhoral vaccine. Okay. Then 29-year-old female to casualty with complaints of high-grade fever, severe joint pain, retroorbital headache for 3 days. What are the key points here? Retroorbital headache and joint pain and high-grade fever. Okay. Plus petechial rashes all over the body. So we are talking about certain hemorrhagic fever, right? What is the most common thing here? When there is a start of raining season, this is what we suspect a lot, dengue fever, right? What is the vector? Aedes mosquito. What are the other disease caused by Aedes? What is the vector? What are other diseases that are spread by Aedes mosquito? Notice the time period we are talking about 3 days. So most specific test that we can do is NS1 ELISA, which comes positive up to 3 days. Here you will definitely find that IgM ELISA is negative, but IgG is positive, which means this person has been affected with dengue in the past. Okay. What is one more disease that's spread by Aedes mosquito? Okay, 54 years you find out. Answer is yellow fever. ठीक है? इसका आंसर येलो फीवर नहीं है, जो मैं क्वेश्चन पूछा उसका आंसर येलो फीवर है. 55 years old was admitted to the hospital with complaint of severe pain in lateral aspect of left calf and small amount of pus discharge. Whenever you're thinking about the pus, what do you think first? This pus was aspirated, subjected to gram stain. This is the gram stain finding. What do you see? Gram positive or gram negative? What is the morphology? Cocci or bacilli? Cocci. What is the arrangement? Diplococci, chains, short chains, long chains, clusters, clusters. So what is your presumptive finding? Staphylococcus aureus. Okay. What will you see on blood agar? Will you see gamma hemolysis, beta hemolysis or alpha hemolysis? Beta hemolysis. Okay. Any condition that you can name which is caused by the toxin of Staphylococcus? toxic shock syndrome, and very common, food poisoning. Okay. What is this? Bottle? Biphasic. Where can you use this? What is the question? After tooth extraction, a young male presented with fever. Tooth extraction. Malaise, weakness, anorexia on clinical examination. There is systolic murmur. So heart is involved, CVS is involved, right? On blood culture, gram-positive cocci arranged in long chains. You are suspecting certain streptococcus. What is the predisposing factor? Tooth extraction. What is the result? Systolic murmur. Do they mean that they are talking about any vegetations in the heart that happened after this tooth extraction? Okay, so we are talking about infective endocarditis. Okay, you are using this bottle for the blood culture. What is the liquid media's name in this bottle? Brain heart infusion broth. Okay. Any serological test that you can perform? ASO, anti-streptolysin O. Okay. The skin patches, they given hypopigmentation, and which stain is this? Is it a Gram stain or Zn stain? Zn stain. So it is positive for acid fast bacilli. I can see pink bacilli. These are all bacilli. And what is this? This is also a bacilli but in groups. Okay. So this is positive for leprosy. Right? What is the question? One middle-aged person attended outdoor clinic, hypopigmented patch over the elbow, progressive loss of sensation on the area. Provisional diagnosis? Leprosy. Samples need to be collected. Slit skin smear. Okay, that's what we collect for them. Then, what was the staining performed? Modified Zn stain. Why modified? How many percentage of H2SO4 we are using? 5%. And where can you cultivate this organism, in which animal? Because it requires lower temperatures, where will you? 9-banded armadillo and food pat of the mouse. Okay. Again, Gram stain or Zn stain? What is the finding? What is your presumptive diagnosis? Will it remain presumptive by now? You can find TB bacilli. Okay, is there a need to differentiate and see the quality of the specimen? Okay, let's see the question. A female aged about 47 years presented with fever and cough for last 1 month, occasional hemoptysis. The history is directing towards TB. That's why a sputum sample was collected, slide was prepared. What is the microscopic finding? Acid fast bacilli. What is the culture media used for this? Yes, that's what you had for the breakfast. And very good. And asparagus. Okay. Any other culture medium you can name? Dorset egg medium. Okay, it has to be egg based medium.